Hi, friends. Didn't get a chance to put a scripted video together this week. Just the world has just been too distracting. But I still wanted to come on and at least talk to you a little bit. So I guess, what's been so distracting for me, and I'm sure for lots of other people, has been what's been happening in Ukraine, which seems pretty bad. There are a lot of things I want to say about that. There are a lot of ideas that pop into my head as watching the news out of Ukraine. Some of which I'm somewhat well qualified to talk about in terms of like media conversations and effects. Some of which I'm not qualified to talk about at all. But yeah, like the thing I can talk about is sort of like what's happening here in terms of media. Like, what does this mean as a social media event, as a social media war? But another thing I keep coming back to as I think about this, there's a moment in Ida Medina's book Cybernetic Revolutionaries about the attempts in Allende's Chile to build like a internet government, almost internet socialism. There's a moment in that book where she talks about this sort of cybernetics pioneer from the United Kingdom, Stafford Beer, and his attempts to build this like sort of cybernetic system, this like electronic governance system for the Chilean government. One of the things he comes up with is this idea of like a like feedback system, right? Because cybernetics is all about feedback loops. That's what it's interested in. That's kind of the fundamental kind of insight of that idea, and it's one that I think carries through into a lot of our current kind of thinking about social media and what it does. But there's this moment in there where he kind of talks about this idea of having like basically like a like dislike button on Chilean television sets. I think it's actually like a dial where they can kind of be like watching a government address and be like, I don't like this, turn it this way, or I like this, turn it this way. And the idea of like cyberneticists are always interested in this idea of a feedback loop. You set up this feedback loop, right? Like, don't like how is this this address going? Let's get instant feedback from the people. Which I mean, we've kind of done in certain weird ways, right? Like that. One of the reasons I think Medina brings up that feedback loop device that Beer was imagining is that that's basically what companies have deployed to those little "How satisfied are you with your service today" kiosks you see everywhere. You see them at airports as one of my mother's assisted living, right? Like where it's just like frowny face to smiley face, like how happy are you with what just happened? And in a sense, right, like what Twitter does with geopolitics is it gives this don't like button for vast geopolitical strategies. And especially I'm thinking about this idea that folks keep coming back to of like building or setting up some sort of no-fly zone over Ukraine, which is just a horrifically bad idea, according to basically every expert in the field. It's like, no, you can't do that. Don't do that. But yeah, polls at like 75% support in the United States. I think in part just because of the like sheer emotional resonance of the images coming out of Ukraine, right? Like, I very much would say my like intellectual position is that a no-fly zone over Ukraine is a tragically bad idea. I think it could escalate to nuclear war all too easily. Expert opinion seems to agree with that. That would be really bad. But man, you look at these pictures that come out. These images of kids, and there was one that came up. I can't remember where it was published. There's a guy on the platform in the train station in Kyiv, I think in Kyiv, and he's got his son's toy truck, like a toy ambulance, in his hand, and he can't. The caption is says he can't put the toy down, and he's just got this vacant look in his eye, like he sent his family off to safety, and now he's got to stay and he's got to fight, and he doesn't know what's going to happen to him, and he doesn't know if he's going to see his kid again. And I mean, to loop back to our whole conversation about popular and expert knowledge, like popular and expert thinking. Like, of course, the idea that, Jesus, can we save him? Can we do something? Like, it feels Of course that feels urgent. That feels like we have to do something. We must. How can we not act? Are we cowards? Like, there's all this there. But you look at the experts, and the experts are like, no, you can't do that. You do that and we all die. And I think that's something we haven't figured out how to mediate in a socially networked moment. Like, we keep careening between either like vilifying all of these unkempt masses who all of a sudden want to be heard and how dare they, or vilifying distant elites and experts who are out of touch with the real people. And that question of how do we square the circle, like, how do we have a very connected, more connected than ever sort of mass populace? How do we respect and think about the feelings that population might have, but how do we not then allow that to like trigger nuclear war based on a don't like button? Yeah, I don't know. That's what I keep coming back to. Like, what do you do with that? Because I keep kind of bouncing back and forth between like thinking about those two different positions. Anyway, that's not well scripted and it doesn't make sense. But that's what I'm thinking about now as I watch all this happen. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, friends, and just check in and say hi. And yeah, I hope you're doing well out there and staying safe. And look forward to hearing from all of you in the week ahead. Take care, everybody.